Good morning, St. Francis. Good morning, people of God. It is Friday, the 16th day of June, 2023, Friday of the 10th week of the year, the 10th week in Ordinary Time. But today we also have the third of the great idea feasts that follow the conclusion of the season of Easter. Today is the Solemnity of the Sacred Heart of Jesus. It's always an interesting kind of solemnity because Margaret Mary Alacoque, who was the one who was given this great vision of Jesus's heart beating, surrounded by a crown of thorns or with a sword in it or what have you, is rather frightening to a lot of people. An exposed heart that seems to be, while it's beating and everything else like that, still also seems to have a lot of kind of graphic detail attached to it, and again it sort of kind of moves in a direction, the devotion to it and the evolution of the feast in some ways, in which people are called to feel sorry for Jesus's heart and the fact that his heart was broken and pierced and wounded and he actually stopped beating because he dies on the cross, etc., etc. And again, pity for Jesus is an interesting kind of thing. It is good to have that in a way, but we also know that he is God and he rose from the dead. So again, as Jesus says, don't pray for me. Pray for yourselves to the women of Jerusalem. It's like he knows, or at least has an inkling. Again, it's always Gethsemane kind of gets in the way of Jesus having full knowledge of what was going to happen to him. And if he did have full knowledge of what was going to happen to him once he died on the cross, then basically he wouldn't know what it means to suffer, and he wouldn't know what it means to feel the agonies and pains that human beings do. And so again, we oftentimes want to protect Jesus or make sure that we're watching out for Jesus or pitying Jesus or whatever it is. And it's basically the other way around, is that Jesus is the one watching out for us. Jesus is the one protecting us. Jesus is the one who sometimes has terrible pity on us because we are so stupid. Because remember, pity is not also a good thing. Pity puts another person in a lower place than you. And while it might sound good in some ways, to pity a person, is sometimes not doing enough for them and not being able to help them become what it is that they need to become and move out of the state that they're in. So what do we do with Sacred Heart today? Well, there are three readings today because it is a solemnity. The gospel is what is important because the gospel is Matthew, and it is also the gospel for the feast of St. Francis, the solemnity of St. Francis. So come to me, all you who are weary and are burdened, and I will give you rest. My yoke is easy, my burden light. Even before that, what you have hidden from the wise and the learned, you have revealed to little children, so they may rejoice, again, in your knowledge and in what it is that you have to offer. That is what the heart of Jesus does. It basically works in that way that the Blessed Mother foreshadowed, in the way the Blessed Mother proclaimed and prophesied, that he will cast down the mighty from their thrones, he will lift up the lowly, he will send the rich empty away and give food to the hungry. Again, that this is a God who is not caught up with knowledge and wisdom as we understand it in our earthly realms. It is not a God who is caught up in power and authority and domination over people. It is a God who wants to give all people a knowledge of who and what they are and of what they can be and what they must be in this world. It's the only way, again, in which salvation can be experienced, when meaning is given to our lives in this here and now, and also when we are given a chance to become the people that God has created us to be. The heart of Christ is what leads us to that. The heart of Christ is what tries to tell us, that things will be well, all will be well, like St. Julian of Norwich knew. The sense in which God basically dares us to believe that God knows what God is doing in the midst of all things that we experience in life. That is the heart, that beats in Jesus. Not a heart to be pitied, not a heart to be just gazed upon and wonder, but a heart that is meant to become our own hearts, in which we give rest to the weary, in which we lift the burdens of others, in which we show basically that power is found in love and that strength is found in the courage to continue to love. That is the wonderful purpose behind this great idea feast, behind this great understanding, again, of who this risen Christ is for us. The glory of the resurrection continues to dawn always in our lives, and these last great feasts, before we move now back into the cycle of ordinary time next week, are meant to demonstrate and show us, again, how powerful it is to be a part of the life of God. A blessed day, St. Francis and people of God. May the Lord give you his peace.